Push your limit, Capsuleer, and don't let no one stand in your way. And while at times it feels like there's no victory in sight, it is your relentless perseverance that will make you come on top in the end. And while it won't always work, you have to keep trying over and over and over again. That's what I did. I've been trying for a while, and recently I reached a new milestone for me, 3,000 kills. And while it's not much, it means a lot to me. So many close fights, so many fun adventures, and yet we gotta look forward. My conflict with Mr. S isn't over. I find myself engaged with one of his members yet again, in what is a truly close fight. And even if I didn't think I was gonna make it, it goes to show you that if you stay focused and try your best, you might succeed in the end. It's a way to view this entire conflict actually. I have stepped up my aggression towards Mr. S's group, even if they started running away from me more and more and it seemed I wasn't getting any break. Their whole strategy was revolved on making me waste as much time as possible, and seeing as all they did was try to run away from me, I decided to use that against them as well. My thoughts were that if I keep applying strong pressure to them, something will eventually break. I did end up thinking to myself, as in this case with this retriever, maybe I bumped them a bit too hard. I'll elaborate on that in a few moments. My lifestyle as a pirate didn't change too much. I was still taking bait and any fights that people would throw at me, as in this case of this phantasm that tried to bait me with his alt procurer. Didn't go so well. My curse isn't very tanky but has a lot of neuting power, and I did manage to neut him out, which eventually turned off his damage and as well as his repairs. He was active shield boosting in this case. After he died, the procurer was a simple formality. Things like this made me think about what are my strengths and weaknesses regarding the conflict with Mr. S's group. I don't run with a big group, so I'm harder to separate and single out. I don't depend on one thing to make my ISK, and probably most importantly, I'm not afraid to fight. So here's the plan. If they keep running away from me, I'm gonna start going to the nearby low-sec system where they started to go more and more, Salin and Anne, and I will belt rat there, I will do all the combat sites there, and I'll kill anyone around that I can. They will have to fight me, or run away, or keep warping off. Belt ratting actually helped me keep my security status a bit above what I normally go, and surprisingly at times I could actually make a decent amount of ISK out of it. It comes primarily from shadow spawns or the Mordus Legion NPC spawns that can drop a blueprint. It's very lucrative if you build it or sell the blueprint directly. And while I was doing all this, I also devised ways to combat them. I have tried gate camping. However, I wasn't very effective at it, as most of them managed to burn back to the gate, something I later fixed by putting 2 or 3 web Ashimu who was remote sensor boosted. And I have also noticed that the top station that they use in this system, it has a very short docking ring, so I camped the on-dock as well. It wasn't long until actually this strategy started working and I managed to catch the first one at the on-dock. The pressure was felt not only in the fact that they couldn't belt rat effectively in the systems anymore, but as well as their kill board going more towards red than green. Finally, we were moving forward somehow. 2 others followed at the on-dock and died swiftly, as well as some success with the gate camps at catching smaller ships such as the Thrasher. Small things, but overall effective at lowering their morale. I started feeling that my strategy was working, mainly due to the fact that they were trash talking a lot more in local as well. And while yes, they never had good words to throw at me anyway, this time it got really weird and out of hand, calling me a psycho or picking on me in real life that I would have issues with things like that. And while they have shown a non-sportsmanship manner in the way they played the game, this was a bit off the top. However, there was one member, I'll call her Bella, that always talked nice and normal to me. In one instance, she actually pointed out this orca that was mining in a belt and told me where she was. So I went and ended up tackling the orca, and as a reward, I allowed Bella to get in on the kill. I did explain to her that after this we will still be enemies, and not very long after this incident I actually managed to tackle her Praxis on a gate and kill it. But the feeling was odd. Why would someone that is okay pay for the sins of someone who was so not okay with me? And even if in the end the choice was to remain focused on the conflict and be ruthless about it, it does show that wars come with some mixed feelings attached to them. All this harassment did provoke him into bringing a bigger fleet, and just as I was preparing to take that fight and get all set up, my old ally Heldon had an operation nearby and brought a 30-man Praxis in Nero's fleet. So yeah, I truly didn't expect Mr. S to believe this was a simple coincidence, so they all ducked up and there was no fight. I was back to doing constant scouting runs between Stadium and Deacon, trying to see their movements and catch them off. I actually managed to get this guy right here that was very elusive for the longest time. But we all have our little habit, and his habit was to kill Ventures in a slasher, so I just waited up, cloaked up next to one of the Ventures until I managed to get him. I don't know if this provoked them for the long term, but we did end up having a pretty interesting fight a short time after. I catch a Thrasher in Shadowvale, a place where this guy also likes to belt rat, and I've been pushing him off the belt. I'm in a Tyrannus myself, and even though this pilot is not very experienced in the Thrasher, he still puts a decent amount of DPS on me, forcing me to use my ancillary repair. And Wheezy, who is in a Garmer, I know will be coming shortly after me, so I immediately began to reload my ancillary repair and my guns, and I burned straight away from him to give myself as much time as possible to take this fight. He probably doesn't realize this and thinks I'm running, so he overheats his micro overdrive. And just as he's going full speed, I turn straight towards him and overheat my own micro overdrive in order to get tackled. And I only realized it after the fight, when watching the recording, that in his madness to get me, I think he actually burned out his micro overdrive, which led to his death. I've always liked frigate fights for how fast and exciting they are. So let's revise our current position versus Mr. S's group. I have expanded beyond Deacon and went to Salient and Anne, where they used to belt rat and do PvP. I have deployed new tactics in terms of station camping and gate camping that reduce their ability to move around freely and get kills, as well as lowering their ISK income a bit. And while they continue to run from me and dock up whenever they see me around, and the war is far from over, it does feel like I won at least my first battle. While I was away from Deacon for a while fighting Mr. S's group, I think it's fair to point out a threat that was present in Deacon for a long time, and that threat is Free Nova. Free Nova is a Russian solo PvPer that is very strong and very skilled at the game. He has other Russian allies, and together they hunt the PvPers that go around Deacon and Shadowvale. Myself have died to him a number of times, but I do have mad respect for the guy. We had our attempts to kill him, but somehow always felt unprepared towards his flying. Either he was too fast or at the last second managed to pull out. For the most part, I've seen him as a good thing for Deacon, as he creates a very hostile environment where Mr. S's group simply can't survive, for example. And while I manage to dodge him myself most times, I do wonder if he'll become an obstacle too hard to overcome. I guess the future will tell. I took some time to spend with my friends in a relaxing manner, and one of my good pirate buddies actually showed us how to rat in a wormhole, which was a bit of a first for me and reminded me of how beautiful the Eve scenery truly is. It reminded me that you need to recharge your batteries in between the battles that you either win or lose, or too much conflict could make you dock up and log off. I want to thank you all for all the support you've been showing me, and if you enjoy my content, please leave a like and subscribe for more of this kind of stuff. Until next time, I challenge you to take a step into the unknown, or to take a fight that you wouldn't think otherwise you would win, or to look at your enemies and see the good in them as well. But regardless of what you choose, don't forget to push your limits.